Today is a pretty big day because my test print of the paperback and the hardcover have arrived, and we're gonna open them up. And you may think, well, I've printed something, you just print it. Unfortunately, with a book, there are so many tiny aspects of the formatting and the design that this is now my second test print, and I have no idea if it's gonna look good. So before I get started opening up the new box and showing the new prints, I want to show you the previous sample prints I did and what was wrong with them, and why we're doing a second round of test prints. I'm going through Kindle online distribution, so basically I upload all my files and I don't have to have, like a stack of 10,000 books. Amazon will print and ship them as people buy them. And that's great for me because I don't have a ton of upfront money to invest in this. Even though I can get books like a paperback for like $6 each, I would want a decent amount, and you have to buy a lot in order to get a discount, and I don't even know if it's gonna sell. So I'm going with the print on demand to start, and unfortunately, even though Amazon has a system where you upload your files and all those things, it never comes out quite right, at least from the first print. There's a guideline of how to make my image for the cover, because this is one image that wraps all the way around, but it's kind of a little bit off, just the way that printing something in real life is going to be different than, just seeing it on your computer. So let's go over the two previous prints. I will show those up close in a moment, and then we will open the box, see how we did, see what I changed, if it worked out right. I also used a different way to format the text inside, and hopefully it goes well. It's not really expensive for me to do these test prints. It's about $4 and for a paperback, and $7.50 for the hardcover, and then like $3 shipping each. And I only really have to wait I think I ordered these Saturday. I ordered the new one Saturday. It is now Wednesday. So it's not really like it's being crazy, but mostly I'm just excited because this is my first time going through the process. First things first, we can see we have a paperback and a hardcover, and I will give you 1 second to see if you can tell kind of what's wrong with the hardcover that makes it a little different than the paperback. Okay, ding, time's up. It's not this not for resale thing. That's actually supposed to be there. That's part of the test print. That's just Amazon making sure, because they're giving me a cheap price to print these, that I'm not just printing, 1,000 and selling them. Over here on the paperback, we can see my title is more centered. But over here on the hardcover, we can see that the title is not centered. Now, this is happening because on a hardcover book, this is a solid surface, and this print actually wraps around, unlike on the paperback where this is just one sheet. So even though I did follow what I thought were the good print guidelines posted by Amazon, it didn't work out quite right. So in my new edit, I have, for the hardback, I've scooted this over, and I've also, you can tell that the picture is kind of really zoomed in on this one compared to here. That's also because it folds around. I've tried to figure out where this folds, because I don't actually need picture there. I've just got one illustration that my illustrator did, and I kind of made it smaller. So looking at the paperback first, At first glance, it looks pretty good. I've had this for a while, and like my family's been reading it and stuff, so the corners have started to get a little bit, just like you'd expect with a normal book. The color is really dark on the illustration, and that's something I've adjusted on my print. It doesn't really look that way in the actual file. That's just the way it printed, and I've adjusted that. The back, it's really obvious just how dark it is. A lot of the illustration it's kind of too dark to see. If I had gone for a glossy cover, then it would be a bit brighter, but I wanted matte because it kind of gives it a cleaner feeling. We're not going to talk too much about the text on the back. It's really wordy. I didn't really know what to put. I looked at a lot of examples, and it was just really stressful to write. I have updated this, and I will show you kind of the difference in the formatting, because right away you can tell this is kind of boring. It's just 3 paragraphs. They're not really spaced nicely on the edge. Our alignment's not very good. It's not horrible, but to me it doesn't really look professional. When it comes to the inside, I used Kindle Create to format my text on the inside. It went all right. I've got nice chapter headings, but I tried to do what's called drop caps. That's where the first letter is really big. And just with the way that it formatted, with how much of a space there is between here and here, I just thought it was ugly. I only did that on chapter 1. The other chapters don't have that, just as a test. And it was just kind of ugly. I did also put this illustration in the beginning of the book, and we're going to see how that comes because I used a different formatting for my text. So not only do we have to deal with the outside, but the text on the inside is going to be different. So on the spine, we didn't really have any problem with that. Really, from the exterior, aside from the fact that this back text is ugly and that was just me and it's a bit dark, the paperback looks great. I'm really happy with that. We've got our little falling cats that are the same as the interior. Got the name, got my name, and it kind of wraps around. On the hardcover, it's very similar. However, the title and everything is just a bit zoomed in and a bit scooted over. So that's definitely something I wanted to fix. It's also very dark, and really it feels pretty good. This is a pretty good book. You can see where it folds and what's going on. We'll eventually have some wear over time. There was one issue. I think it was the paperback. My about the author. Yeah, my acknowledgement page did this for some reason. It's a bit stupid because I used the Kindle export system to format the text, and I don't know if I did something wrong with the wrong size, but it definitely should know how big the book is and not do something like that. In the hardcover, if I remember correctly, yeah, because the book is bigger, there was more space for the text to go across. Don't worry too much about this acknowledgement. I've pretty much rewritten that, and I've, rewritten my bio. So that's pretty much a general overview of the current first edition test prints. And now it is time to have a look at the revision page. So right away, there's a few dramatic changes. The biggest thing that took me the longest amount of time was the back text. If you look on this paper, which is just a printed version of what I submitted, to be printed, it's super bright, which brings up the vibrancy. I don't know if that's going to carry over too much because me printing on my printer is going to be different than, the book printing machine. Our back blurb text, which is a summary, my new summary is way more clear and concise and snappy. I've also done the drop caps to make it kind of look fancy. I looked at so many different books to kind of see how they format the back. We've got kind of like a slogan or some kind of headline, like catch the attention up top. 2 cats, endless mischief. I thought that was pretty fun. I was like raking my brains trying to figure out what to write. And then in italics here, I've got some stuff about how this is my debut novel and, you know, just kind of stuff. A lot of people, and by people I mean authors, put a picture of themselves or some kind of biography about themselves in the back, but I don't really have a lot to say. A lot of people put, you know, quote from famous writer, read this book, it's the best, it's the New York Times bestseller, but I don't have any of that yet because this is my first book. So I just went with something kind of simple about, it's my debut novel about cats, just something kind of catchy. I know that the barcode will print right over here because I've already had my illustration done and I really don't want to go through the process of changing it too much. It's actually, I had this illustration done a couple years ago now. I'm just going to let that cover up, even though it's kind of ugly. We're going to cover up this little kitty. Goodbye, Fennec, but that's okay. Also, another change that I made, hopefully will come through. It's still taking a lot of work. As you can see, the title of the book, Squiggles and Eggplant, this text is spaced out because it's just a font that I used on Canva, and I just typed the letters. But this time, when I was making the new back, I just kept glancing over, and I think it's kind of ugly because it's so spaced out. So what I did is I opened up in Photoshop. It's the same exact font. Nothing else has really changed, but I manually squeezed all the letters together. I may make this and scoot it over a little bit more. This was kind of the last touch before submitting it because it's such a small change. And once the spacing is right, I can kind of like do small adjustments. It's more about getting the title in the right spot right now than it is about getting it to look exactly right. So I just kind of wanted to get it submitted and just move on to the next step and see how we go. So obviously you can tell the logo does look quite different. It's one of those things where you probably wouldn't have a complaint unless you saw how good it could look, and or unless you were me and obsessed with all the details. And then again, we've got the back, which I think the test looks 1,000 times better when it just comes to the kind of things that authors usually have on the back of a novel, the proper formatting to kind of draw the eye in different places. And well, we're gonna see if it actually printed right. So here we go. Okay, well, here's my box. We're gonna see. It just came in the mailbox today. Like I said, it only took a few days. I'm kind of sitting behind my tripod so I can use both hands to get this open. So I can't really see. I should probably be using a box cutter, but I'm a little bit impatient. I didn't even really plan on doing this today. The paperback was supposed to arrive today, and the hardcover was supposed to arrive Friday, but they both are supposed to be in this box, and it definitely feels like it. So I really wanted to get this video going. I'm so nervous because, like I said, it's not like it's that expensive. It's not like it took, 10 years for them to come in the mail, but I'm just so excited about this process. And I really want it to work so well because as soon as I have a perfect copy in my hands, I can start planning my actual release date and all that kind of stuff. And okay, we'll just... So the paperback looks pretty similar. I'm gonna compare it. This is the new one, and let me grab the old one. Right away, you can see how much brighter the new one is. It may not come across too exceptionally well on camera, but the difference between the colors, this feels so much more vibrant. Of course, we've got the not for resale. And I feel like my title is a little bit off. I would like to move this and shift it over. So right away I can tell we're gonna need another reprint. But the easy thing about moving the title is that no matter how much, as long as the illustration is in the right place, what I can do is look where I want the letters to line up, just open the file and just scoot it over and resubmit the same image, and it should print the same. So on the back, it's so clean. Look at the difference. Look at the difference between the colors. You know, you can see all the cats way more clear. Obviously, we've got this strip here, but yeah, it just it's I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm getting kind of giddy. It just looks so clean. I feel like the text is a tiny bit not as clear as how it would print normally. And this is one of my concerns about why I might not go through Amazon, because if you can see, the text is actually more crisp on what I printed from my printer. I've looked into it. This doesn't seem to be because it's a test print. It seems to be just the quality that they print in as an image. And I'll get into later why I might use a different printing thing. However, I may not bother because there's a whole added layer of complexity if I print the book with a different printing service and then ship it to Amazon for them to handle. So right away, I guess let's look at the exterior of the hardcover before I get into the inside. Let's dump this out. So let's have a look. So my text, this is still way far over. And I even adjusted it. Let's have a look at the other one. This is the first one. I can see that I have scooted it over. There's not as much space here, but there's still a ton of space. And part of that is going to be due to the fact that if you look at this cat on the bottom, the image is scooted up. So I kind of changed a lot of variables. Not only did I move the text in the logo to condense it, but I also moved it in, and I moved this image and restructured it. So I added a border, and we're going to have a look. This image, how this wraps, slightly above here, it's actually just black. I was hoping that I didn't cut it off a lot, but right about here is where I can feel the actual image ends. So that's all illustration I would be missing if I hadn't just made it black and then left this part just enough so it looks like it wraps around, because I didn't want to have to bother my illustrator to go and expand the edges. The back looks pretty good, but as you can tell on the other one, this lining up on the left is just too far over to the left. So the back printing is way brighter. You can see how much more orange and how much more bright. You can also see I kind of pulled the image in, so this is more visible. It just looks so much more vibrant and so much better, but as an image, I'm gonna leave the graphic probably exactly where it is and just scoot over, and I can actually see here, probably I can line it up just like right along here. And I can just scoot everything just like the slightest amount. And if the text inside is pretty good, then that will probably be one of the final changes. It's very solid. The text on the side looks great. This is not the adjusted, this is just typed because it's the same font, but I just wanted it to be super clear because it's small. Looks like there's a little blur in the light. It's kind of shining on there. So I'm going to go back to the paperback, and the paperback is 5 by 8 inches. The hardcover is 8.5 by 5.5. So it is bigger, and it does have kind of fewer pages because we can fit more words per page. So with the different formatting, we've got our title page. I would like to upload an image here, but there's very serious limitations to the free formatting software that I'm using, and I'm kind of scared to mess around with it. I've got my copyright information, I've got my dedication, and our table of contents. So right away I have the same illustration, but because the editor I was using for my text is kind of more limited, it doesn't really let me put it where I want. I figured this is kind of fine. I don't really know what that little black dot is. I've got my acknowledgements. We're not going to really focus on what the text says, just the formatting. But you can see this drop cap where it's huge like that is so much better than the way the other formatting look. And this may be stuff that I could do manually. However, I am a writer and sometimes I do drawings and different things. I don't really know anything about typography or formatting a book, which is why I'm using preset kind of softwares. I figure I don't have to make it look too special inside. I just need to focus on what the words look like. When it comes to the text, this is kind of like a theme. You know, you could choose more modern or, you know, kind of like an older style. I chose more of like the fantasy aspect. It seems like the text is pretty good. I'm a little bit worried about the back. Let's have a look. We've got my about the author, my little picture printed just fine. It is very pixelated, but this is not really a photo book, and I think this this kind of does the trick. So I won't really focus too much on any of the what the text says, because I'm more just talking about how it looks right now. But yeah, I mean, I actually think the text formatting looks good. I would really prefer to have a image here that is a copy of this, maybe, but there are image limitations with my free editing software, and right now I'm kind of in a place where I could spend so much time figuring out how to customize every detail of the interior, but I kind of have to choose my battles. And getting this out is already so time intensive and scary. And like, I already had to write the whole book, you know, this is actually my second book, but I already had to write a whole book and do everything so far. So I'm kind of just gonna focus on the big concerns first. I do kind of feel like this text, now that I look at it, is too far to the left. But again, what I'm going to do is have a look at, you know, I can see that there's 1, 2 lines here. I'm just going to shift this over and line it up like all the way down. I'm not going to change the size. I'm just going to open up in Photoshop, scoot it over, and reprint it. So they look pretty good. I mean, let's compare to the old versions again. It's a lot lighter, which probably isn't coming across super well, but you can tell from the vibrancy of how like faded this red is compared to this red. The title looks cleaner, even if I'm probably also going to scoot it over, but I'm not going to mess with the image at all. I'm going to have more of a detailed look. I already know that the book is done. I had it professionally edited, and I don't really want to fuss with every single word. There's always going to be some words that I find that I think, oh, I could do something better here. I could switch this out. But like I said, you kind of just have to come to a point where you're like, you know, this is done, and I'm not gonna work on it anymore. This is a reflection of the book I was able to make as of whatever date it's published, and it could be 100 times better if I released it, you know, in 10 years. But I'm gonna get it done and move on to different projects. So let's have a look at the hardback and the paperback. I'm thinking about $12 for a paperback. That's basically going to give me like $5 profit. And then for the hardcover, because these actually cost, I think, like $12 to make, I'm going to have to check. I'm going to actually be charging closer to 20. I'm not sure how many people are actually going to buy a hardcover, but those are the kind of things that I will get into eventually with how much and what, and if I am going to end up ordering test copies, or if I'm going to end up bulk ordering copies of the book to ship by myself, I will probably only do paperback to start, just because it's such a huge undertaking. You know, I don't expect to sell too many copies, but even 100 packages, even 100 orders to fulfill, you know, have the books sitting around, make sure everything's good, wait for them to come through. It's just so much to organize. So we're going to see how it goes. So I guess in reflection today, the test print is pretty good. The changes that I did make obviously made a huge difference when it comes to aesthetic and kind of making it look professional instead of just a huge block of text that doesn't really look very clean. I'm really glad that I spent, you know, the 12 hours that it took me to just mess around and research what to put. I will be ordering another test copy. I'm going to give this a read through, because even though it's the same text file uploaded, there may be some kind of, you know, small details, and I'd kind of like to see how it looks. You know, the book isn't long. It's only about 200 pages. That's about, it's under 50,000 words. So it really only takes a few hours if you read fast. And my next step will be adjusting, maybe adjusting the minute details on the logo, moving the and over a bit, kind of messing with that, and then kind of shifting it over and resubmitting it, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully it'll be good. I'm really satisfied with the way it looks so far. Obviously, it's a lot better than just like a stack of papers or a file on my computer. And I don't have any solid release date yet. My plan is to get as perfect of a copy as I can, like in my actual hands holding it. And then what I will do is try to send some copies to basically famous cats. You know, there's a lot of meme cats that have famous accounts, and I'm going to start contacting them and asking what their advertising rates are, because hopefully I can send them, the account owner, a copy, be like, hey, you know, what's your fee? Okay, it's 100, 500. Here's my book. Here's the release date. Can you make this many videos or this many pictures or posts with my book, you know, pretending in the personality of your cat that the social media account is about, that the cat loves the book or whatever. And obviously, if the cat influencer owner doesn't like the book, then they can not advertise it. Well, they'd have to give me my money back too, but you know, whatever. But I'm hoping to do pre-orders so that I can, like, let's say I get a perfect test copy tomorrow. That would give me a really good time frame. And then I'd be like, okay, in 6 weeks, we're going to have the official release. And 2 weeks before that, we're going to do pre-orders. Pre-orders aren't really as essential because I'm not shipping everything myself. If I was to decide that this print quality isn't really turning out great, and I did order a sample copy from another printer, it's kind of flirting with the devil a little bit because the books are a bit more expensive and I would have to pay by myself up front. And I would have to ship everything myself unless I shipped a whole box to Amazon and let them distribute it. But if I do pre-orders instead of the Amazon system where they print it to order, I would basically do pre-orders for 2 or 3 weeks. And then let's say I get 100 sales, I could use that money to buy 150 books from the publisher, and I already have the money because I did the pre-order. So that money would go to pay for the books. And then I would sit around for however it took, print out the shipping labels and ship everything out. That would be nice because I could sign everything. It would be nice to number my first 100 copies, number whatever, and sign them and just kind of make them special, because I know that the first copies are going to be people that, have been following this project for a long time or know me personally and are really excited. They're not going to be strangers. So the only concern is really just getting enough money up front that the pre-orders sell and, I can order the copies. And, maybe we only get like 20 pre-orders, and that gives me an indication, hey, not that many people are actually interested in purchasing it. So just buy 30 copies. And then if more orders come in, then invest. That might be a pretty good idea. I have been selling my own art online for almost 10 years now. So I'm not really a stranger to the process of shipping orders and printing them and all those things. It's just that the book is such a high importance to me that it's not just like a funny cat painting, like a print that I made or whatever. Like, this book took years, and it's really more where my interest lies. I do like painting and drawing, and it's fun and it's great, but it's really just kind of a way for me to make something that my audience who likes cats and memes just like me would buy. And obviously I don't hate painting. I really like it, but not as much as something like writing. It would be really cool to say, okay, well, I am a writer. Yes, I do actually make money from it. And technically, because my Facebook is monetized, every time I post about the book, I get like a little bit from Facebook of money, like how people on YouTube get ad revenue. So technically I'm already making money from being a writer, but it's very indirect, I don't want to have to add all these like terms and conditions in fine print. If someone says, oh, what do you do? I'm already going to be saying, oh, well, I'm a student, but it would be nice to actually just be a writer and not someone who just gets paid a little bit because I post sometimes on Facebook about writing and Facebook gives me some money for it. There's so many details to sort out, and it would be better to have a lot of money. Honestly, it would be better to have $10,000 or whatever, and that way I could have this huge list of cat influencers and, schedule exactly when I want them to release and what I want them to say. Like, here's $200, you've got 1 million followers, that's going to get this many videos. So obviously the more advertising I could do, the more successful it would be, because more people are going to see it. And, you know, the more people that see the book, I think they're maybe going to give it a chance. I worked with a really great illustrator, and he did such a good job. And Raphael did such a such an amazing job. He took my idea about what I wanted, and he made it real. And you may be thinking, well, Ellie, you can draw. Why didn't you just draw it yourself? And it's just because I would never be able to draw this well, and I know how important first impression is. Because if you're watching this video, you've probably come from my Facebook, or maybe you're my dad that I sent him the video, you know? Hey, Dad. But there's a strong chance that you have a personal bias to buy the book and just give it a shot because you've seen my memes. But there's a lot of people, hopefully, that, you know, will come across an advertisement and the cover has to fully sell how professional it looks and how well done it is. And even if I could do a good drawing myself that's maybe a different style or something, being able to step back away from the illustration, because I'm sure Raphael, I'm sure he knows every flaw with this drawing, but I don't notice it. And I think there's this kind of disconnect that's been important for me with that, because when my confidence gets low and I think, oh, maybe no one's gonna like it, I can say, well, this artist that I really like did a great job, and maybe he can carry me enough to have people give it more of a chance. And if it was my art, then not only am I self-conscious about my writing quality, but I'm self-conscious about my cover illustration. And there's just so many things. And it's really kind of a relief that I can just sit back and not hyper focus on the details. I mean, I will about the typography and the logo because I did those aspects. But, you know, the illustration itself is really cute, and I'm really happy with it. So, in a few days, the print from the third party, a website called Lulu, it's a book printing website. I ordered it, and we're going to see. And because this test print is pretty synonymous with the quality I would expect from print on demand from Amazon, it's not bad. You know, I would pick this up in a bookstore as long as it was actually, you know, the text looked better. And I think, you know, okay, that's fine. But maybe the Lulu print is better. And then if it is better, I'm going to have to do a lot of number stuff. Because, you know, this book is like $3.50 base price, and then Amazon gets like 25%. And I'm just going to have to compare. Where with the Lulu print service, it's like, I think if I order 100 copies, it's $6 even. The only concern is that if Amazon isn't shipping the book, I need shipping materials. I need my label printer, which I don't currently have a label printer. I need all the supplies to go along with that. And like I said before, it would be really cool if I just had 10 more years or like $1 million to make this perfect in every aspect possible, but it's just not realistic. So I kind of have to look at what resources I have now, how much, you know, I'm willing to invest financially in this, and how much time I'm willing to put into it, and just see what happens. So that's about it. Thank you for hanging out. I will try to update again. People have been asking so many questions about what the process is like and how I kind of make these choices. And we're going to see if the Lulu print is any better, and it should be here in a few days. If any major developments have happened, I guess I could make like a short comparison video or just talk more about the general plan. But I'm going to order another round of Amazon test prints, and from what I expect, that will be the soonest you will be hearing from me about updates. Okay, I've been pretty much talking for like 30 minutes straight, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go read this book for the 10 millionth time. It's good that I really like it because, if you don't like your own work, then, how can you expect anyone else to? So, yeah, that's it. Thank you for hanging out and taking a look at my book with me, and I hope I have some good news to share with you soon.